pursuant, good morning and good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. It's been a long, it's like January 700th day. Welcome everybody, welcome to all of our students and our teachers and our board candidates that are in the audience. This is a lovely full room. I love it. We're going to get right to it because we do have a bunch of things to get on the agenda. So, pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act, public notice of this meeting has been given by the board secretary in the following manner. 1, posting written notice on the official bulletin board at the Voorhees Township Public Schools Administrative Building on August 17, 2023, sending written notice to the Courier Post on August 17, 2023, filing written notice with the clerk of Voorhees on August 17, 2023, posting on the Voorhees Township website on August 17, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board Secretary, call the roll, please.
Ms. Conover? Here. Mr. Rosen?
Here.
Mr. Rosner?
Here.
Mrs. Runner? Here. Mrs. Stewart? Here. Mrs. Stubler? Ms. Verdi? Here. Mrs. Watson?
Here. We're going to do a couple of things out of order so that we can get some of these young children home. So first, we are going to do item 11.2, the Voorhees Middle School Lockheed Martin Robotics Team. So can I have Mr. Moskowitz come on?
Good evening. Good evening, Board of Education members, Dr. Hackett, Mrs. Haley, and members of the public, and members of our beloved staff. Over the summer, we received information from Mrs. Haley about an opportunity for our students to engage in science, technology, and engineering projects through the Lockheed Martin Corporation in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Selected 8th grade students from our middle school who participate in the Science Olympiad program were offered the limited seating opportunity in September. These children learned about engineering, computer programming, and applied mathematics with LEGO TM robotics kits. The program accepted 10 students and asked for a district representative to act as an advisor. Mr. Sean Sepinen, our enrichment teacher at Crescent School, was our advisor for the middle school students this fall. The program required students to attend 5 sessions on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. from October 7th to November 4th at their Cherry Hill office in their Advanced Technology Laboratories. The ultimate goal is for our students to learn about 21st century learning skills involving inquiry, critical thinking, and problem solving as a team. We are proud of our students, and we look forward to opportunities for more involvement in the future with our partners at Lockheed Martin. 7 students were selected from, and a few of them are here tonight to explain this experience. I want to thank them and their families for participating, as well as our advisor, Mr. Sepinen. At this time, please let us welcome Mr. Sepinen and his group of robotics students.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Moskowitz, and thank you to the board and our administration for providing this opportunity for several of our students. As Mr. Moskowitz was saying, we were able to attend a robotics workshop, and we came here tonight to share a little of that experience with you. Of the 7, 4 were able to attend, and I appreciate Patel, our Chikani, Russell Balut, and me are Dadanya, to tell you a little bit about the experience. I want to thank Mrs. Calabria for making sure that I was able to come over and collaborate with them. And these are 4 really terrific young people. And excited for you to hear about their experience. So, as Mr. Moskowitz said, we attended in the fall for 5 sessions, 4 hours each day, and the students completed projects using the LEGO Mindstorm programmable robot, and they had to complete challenges each week. So I'd like to invite Russell to tell you a few words about the types of challenges that they have to overcome.
You look perfect.
The basic structure was essentially trying to introduce students to an actual engineering scenario. They would poll different people of the groups that they had assigned, 1 through 12, to learn about what objectives they needed to do and different techniques they might need on the robot to do it. You know, there were color sensors, there were wheels, there were all sorts of music detectors, stuff like that. That's for later, but it was basically they would take one person from the group and they would bring them back to a room and they would tell them what they needed to do. They'd write it down and they'd tell the rest of their group like the real engineering center. They would introduce challenges like your robot dancing, maybe playing a song, maybe throwing a catapult before some of the challenges. There would be a main challenge, which was the one that would make points at the time of day, pretty good competition, and a mini challenge, which was just a thing you could do for fun. Catapult was one of them. It was great fun.
And next, so as Russell was starting to allude to, they broke the students into 4 individual roles that they would each have to complete the tasks. And I'd like to have Fishy come and tell you about the roles that they fulfill each week.
The workshop gave us all 4 different roles to be. The first role was the project manager. The project manager received instructions about the challenges and the judging. Their job was to take notes and then relay the information back to the team. The next role was the lead programmer. Their job was to program any codes in order to help the robot do specific tasks. They could do specific tasks such as dance or simply move forward or backwards. The next role was the lead builder. They added necessary parts to the robot in order for it to complete the task. They added things such as wheels, a catapult, and even a snowplow. The last role was the tester. They were the only members to see the final testing area, and they would have to take necessary measurements and create a map in order to recreate a testing track for their team to test their robot out. Each member of the team played an important role in the success to complete the challenges. There were general keys to success in each challenge that Barb will tell you about.
So there were basically 3 main keys to success that I ended up finding out. So one of the first keys to success is teamwork and communication. And so just like in real life, teamwork and communication is key to making anything possible. And so teamwork and communication basically means that you have to focus on the same goal and not get off track, like a lot of times. We had individual jobs leading our group to success, as Chrissy mentioned, that all of our different parts worked together to make a good robot that ended up winning the competition. We also had to talk with each other and many times had to support one another and help each other out when we couldn't understand the code or how to build the robot. The second key to success was perseverance. The robot never worked on the first time, nor the second, nor the third, probably not even the 4th and 5th time. But you have to just keep on going. For example, the catapult, the robot ended up breaking the first time, the catapult ended up breaking the second time, and the ball went nowhere the 3rd time. But we just kept on going and ended up winning the competition because we just didn't give up. And then there was time management and staying on task. So we had to prioritize the tasks at hand, and just like I said, we couldn't goof off and just do whatever we wanted. And also the people at Lockheed were really, really rigid on their time. Lunch was at 12 o'clock. If you didn't test your robot by 12 o'clock, you're done. Lunch is very important to them. So time management and staying on task was very important because if you didn't, you were disqualified. So I'm going to hand it off to Nihar, who will talk about the experience with the engineers.
Thank you, Harv. Now, moving on to the experience with engineers, all I can say is that it was a fantastic experience. I loved it, and they would always be there for you if you ever missed a line of code or you couldn't figure something out. After trying and trying for much time, you could call them over, and they will be there and they will help you fix your code and make sure by the end of the day you will have a robot that will be able to achieve whatever objective you set for it. And they would also give you personal experiences on how they got to where they are in order to show you that it's okay to take some help and it's not the end of the world. You can always get help from them, and you don't have to be shy or scared or nervous, and it's just fine.
So we did bring a robot to give a brief demonstration, but before we do, I wanted to give the students one opportunity to give you final thoughts on their experience and how it was beneficial to them. So Russell, would you like to start?
I know it was Legos and fun little robot on the computer app, but it felt real. It felt like a real engineering experience. You were working on teams, there were advisors there to help you make sure you were staying on track. Not everyone got the information, you had to relay it pretty well. And you filled your role pretty well. If not, you didn't do great. You get as many points on the final day. You get as many cookies at lunch. So it was real in that sense. And as someone who wants to go into an engineering field in the future, it was valuable. It taught me what I needed to do. It taught me what it's going to be like. It taught me how it's going to be. You know, it's going to be groups, it's going to be different projects, it's going to be different assignments at the same time. It's going to be a lot different, but it'll be fun because you'll have these advisors, you'll have these groups, you'll have these excellent groups of individuals helping you all along the way, and your advisors.
This workshop really helped me learn and retain information about coding and robotics that I never actually thought I would learn and explore on my own, because before I never really had an interest in robots or coding, but this workshop really helped me learn about it.
So before the workshop, I used to have a strong dislike of robotics and coding. You know, like, what's more fun, like video games or coding? But the workshop ended up teaching me that, like, coding and robotics is something that anybody can learn and anybody can have fun with. Like, it's not just something boring that you just sit at your laptop all day doing. And it's a really fun thing, and it kind of opened the door for me to, like, this new world of technology.
And for my final thoughts, I would just like to say that, like the others, I never really planned on liking robotics. I never planned on doing anything robots, and I thought they were just some clumsy things. I would just drive around, do something, then stop. But this camp really taught me on how to use them, and overall, it helped me if I ever want to go into a career in engineering or robotics.
Can you tell us a little bit about the coding? So for the demonstration, Neil Harwood, our lead programmer, so can you tell us a little bit about the code that you wrote, and then we'll show you.
So this robot will do a little dance for you, nice and quick, but it's really adorable, and it's really fun to watch. And every single movement in there is one intricate line of code, individually coded, in order to make it look like a nice little dance when it's all put together.
Try.
It's better moved.
Thank you all for your time tonight.
We have a gift for all of you, and I just want to say, this is exceptional. This is my favorite part of being on the board, is seeing the accomplishments of our students. And I hope you guys realize that the lessons that you all learned about perseverance and teamwork and collaboration are lessons you're going to take throughout your lives to be successful. So we are incredibly proud of you as a board and as a district. Thank you for representing us and making us look so incredible. Congratulations. want to leave, you can absolutely do that. We will not be offended. You are also welcome to stay. The next item we're going to move up on the agenda is 11.3, which is former board member recognition. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Jason Bryce. This is an award in recognition of your time on the board, your service on the board. You are a quiet but powerful individual. I think you brought a reserved but incredibly knowledgeable aspect to the board. Your experience, especially in the school district, not our district, but different districts, and bringing that diverse perspective was incredibly valuable to us. I want to thank you for the time that you spent on the board, and we have a plaque to recognize you. I just want him. Oh, thanks. Our other board member, Kelly Cosenza. Kelly, a little bit, kind of the opposite of Jason, like a little bit more vocal, always wore her heart on for everyone to see. You were so passionate. You bring this incredible experience from your PFA days to your children in the school district, to understanding the special education system. You just have a really unique perspective, and you're so kind and loving and generous. And we are so incredibly lucky to have had you serve on the board and to be beside us in making really important decisions. So thank you for your service. Going to move into the board vacancy. Before we begin, I'm going to have our board solicitor actually walk through the rules and kind of the process for filling this spot. Again, any of the students and any of the former board members are more than welcome to leave. Again, we won't be offended.
Ready?
Yep.
All right. I don't know where the candidates are. Could I ask you just to come up to the front? We've got some empty seats up here. It might be a good idea if we can all see you. Thank you so much. So good evening, my name is Amy Garrett. I serve as solicitor to the board. I'm going to offer just some directions and some instructions about how tonight is going to proceed. It's informational for you, but it also advises our audience about the process we're going to follow, which by the way is also laid out in school district policy. As far as the process goes, we're going to give everyone 5 minutes to make remarks explaining why they should be the person selected to fill the vacant board seat. You can feel free to use the podium and the microphone. That might actually be better so we can all hear you clearly and the audience can hear you clearly. I will be timing you. If you want, I will do the 1 minute signal so you know how much time you have left. After your remarks, we're gonna escort you back to a conference room and call you out one at a time. All the questioning will be done in public, but we don't wanna give anyone a fair, unfair advantage by hearing the questions in advance. Ms. Tricia Milady from the business office, she is back there, she's raising her hand. She will escort you back to the conference room. We're gonna call everybody out in alphabetical order. When you come on out, there will be a 15-minute time slot for you to answer questions from the board. I will start the timer after the first question has been completed. The questions will be asked by various board members. Answer however you see fit, that, this is your opportunity to convince the board you should be appointed. But also I would say just be mindful that you are responsive to the actual question asked. After you've done your 15-minute question and answer period, feel free to take a seat in the audience. Your time is done and we will call the next person out. After everyone has had an opportunity to ask questions, the board president will then open it up to board members to make statements for or against any candidate as they see fit. There's no particular order. It's just whichever board member wishes to speak first. To make brief remarks, I would remind board members this is going to be a long evening. So I know you probably have a lot to say. I would ask that you just, again, be mindful of time and keep your remarks focused. Then we get to voting. So let me explain how the voting works. The board president will open the floor to nominations. In order to actually be voted on, a board member must nominate you, and then a different board member must second your nomination. If you do not get a second, you are not nominated, and we simply move on with the process. After a period of time has passed, nominations will close. The board president will ask for a motion to close the nominations, and the board will vote to close by a voice vote. Then we go to voting. The way this works is that the first person to get a majority of votes is the successful candidate. You vote in the order of nomination. So let's just say 3 people are nominated and the first person gets a majority. We don't vote on the remaining candidates because somebody has achieved the majority. If we go through the process and nobody has achieved the majority, the board policy provides for a runoff vote between the top 2 vote getters. And so we'll figure that out. Our board secretary keeps track of all of that. She will advise us who the top 2 vote getters are, and we will have a runoff election. If we still do not have a majority, at that point we close the process and defer to the executive county superintendent to make the selection. But again, it's whoever gets the majority vote first. There are currently 7 members here. We have 1 member absent. A majority tonight is 4 votes. The successful candidate, if we do get a majority and we have a successful candidate here tonight, you do not automatically take your seat. You first have to go through the mandatory fingerprinting and background check, which I'm sure the business office will tell you all about. And then once that is complete, we swear you in at the next meeting and you take your seat and you join the Voorhees Township Board of Education. Does anyone have any questions about the process? No? All right, last chance. All right, then may I use this list? Okay, then we're gonna go in alphabetical order for 5-minute statements. Mr. Bryce, you are up first.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the school board and community. I prepared a brief statement, and I'm just going to read it to you. My name is Jason Bryce, and it's an honor to have the opportunity again to apply to be part of the Voorhees School Board Township. I've been a resident since 2010, and my kids have been able to thus far enjoy being matriculated through each school, starting with Osage Elementary School, which is my favorite. I'll be honest with you, I love Osage. And also the middle school, and I have my son here as well. In 2020, I ran a campaign for a seat on the school board, okay? And the campaign focus was called Empower, Educate, and Evolve. And the purpose of that mission was birthed through my own reflection as a counselor, that once someone becomes aware that they have power and confidence, then they can do anything. They can become educated so that they can evolve. Now, this purpose and focus, honestly, it never changes for me. Education and counseling are truly my life's work. Looking and seeing outside of myself, this will always be what matters to me, okay? And it's because that it matters to me is why I decided to apply to serve. Now, some may ask, why didn't I run for re-election? And that's very simple. I won't compromise my core values, my life's work, but most importantly, my voice for simple politics. I won't do that. What you'll get from me is what I've always been since I became empowered, since I became educated, and since I evolved. And that is to be a man of principle and to be a man of purpose. The four main reasons why I want to join the board again is first because I care about education for all students. The second reason why I want to join the board is because I know how to be a team player, focused on the purpose at hand. I'm not, and I will not be egotistical, nor will I ever operate in ego. I will always focus on the purpose at hand and all about doing what's best for the district, our wonderful teachers, and our beautiful children. The third reason I want to join is because I want to be a voice to those children who, by circumstances beyond their control, have no voice to represent themselves. I was a career D and F student. I was at the bottom of my class, and my teachers told me that I was better at using my hands to do some type of work that's meant for me to use my hands. But unfortunately, I have soft hands, so that's just not gonna work for me. But now, here I sit in front of you guys with a Master's Plus on my way to my doctorate. And the funny thing about it is that these same people told me I wasn't meant for school, but I spent over 13 years in school. Now go figure. The last reason is very simple. I truly love my community and I want to serve here. The beauty of life is being able to see outside yourself and being able to serve your community where you can make a difference. I want to be able to make that difference. There was a quote from one of my favorite TV shows, The Office, and there's an episode about a character that said something so profound, I'll be honest with you, it continues to stick with me to this day. And it says, sometimes the flowers arrange themselves. And after all these events from the past, all the occurrences, all the circumstances, it has led to an opportunity for me to be able to serve again, possibly. The flowers always arrange themselves, and I'm willing to serve again if chosen. Thank you.
Take a seat, we're going to call you back for questions, so thank you so much.
Should I ask that question?
Next up is Mr. Sarfraz. Did I say that correctly, sir?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, respected board members, executive leadership team, and community members. I'm enthusiastically excited and committed to leverage some of my expertise, my past experience, and passion for education to make a meaningful impact as a member of Voorhees Township Board of Education member. And what exactly what I want to achieve, keep the dollars back to the classroom where they belong. The public dollars belong to the classroom, to our students, and that is exactly the goal of all the board member is. That's where they need to stay. I have an extensive experience with safety and risk management over 20 years, particularly with schools. I've been working with the school, especially in the state of New Jersey, for the last 15 years, mainly. But to be exact, actually in the last 15 years, I have worked with 386 school districts. To be exact, out of 525 school districts in the state of New Jersey, mainly Vineland, Trenton, Jersey City, Elizabeth, Patterson, I did say Jersey City, Monmouth County Regional, I mean, you name it, every single big school district, and I mean, that's what my passion, that what I can do to make these schools safe. Not only make them safe, but also what can be done to make them, put like an enterprise risk management plan, bring like a business continuity plan for those things. All the respected board members have experience in our various fields, and they are very good at it, and trying to make the community better. However, when I see there could be a need for the risk management, there could be a need to help people, help students, help the community. From an educational standpoint, I have a master's in strategic leadership and value chain management. I also have a bachelor's degree in accounting and statistics. I have worked with New Jersey School Insurance Group, which is a quasi-state employee, and that's how I got a chance to serve 386 school districts throughout the state of New Jersey. Then I worked with Utica as our senior loss control consultant, and again, I was working with the schools, and now I'm working as a vice president for Alamo Insurance Group as in a strategic leadership capacity, and yet I'm still serving the school district and the community. And that gives me a chance to come back and serve my own community. I've been living in Voorhees since 2008. I have 3 beautiful daughters. One graduated already. She was in a Voorhees school, and 2 of them, one is going to Crescent and one is going to Voorhees. So you can say I have the best of both worlds when it comes to kids. So I have the 20-year-old and then 5 and 6 years old. I have a passion for the community. In 2014, I was awarded a Martin Luther King Award in the Camden County to the service to the community. My main goal is to assimilate different diverse backgrounds, whether it's based on a religion, creed, anything else, assimilate as one community, because that's how we can succeed, and that would be one of the goals if I possibly can work on it. Right now, I serve on 2 different non-for-profits, one on the state level, which is based in locally in New Jersey, and one at the U.S. or federal level. I also serve on a condominium board in Cherry Hill. So why should I become a board member, or why should I? What are value propositions that I can bring to the community and to the board? Obviously, expertise in education risk management, identifying and mitigating risk. Also, I could have a strategic leadership, particularly in enterprise risk management and business continuity plans for the school districts. Commitment to inclusion, diversity.
Sir, you have the 1 minute mark.
Thank you. Forecasting and supporting atmosphere for all the students, and active community engagement, as well as strong interpersonal and communication skills, and be able to work with all stakeholders, be a team player. The last but not the least, I also have certifications that could be also helpful. I'm a certified school risk manager, as well as associate in risk management, and also various others which are in my resume. Thank you so very much for your time. If anybody has any questions.
Hello, and thank you for this time. Thank you to the community for being here. It's great to see so many people. As you've seen in my resume, my entire career has been spent in higher education in some kind of support role. I started with information technology, helping to support the students at my university to learn how to use technology, and very importantly, helping the students who had ADA needs to be able to navigate the technology to allow them to access all of the resources that they had access to. As part of that, I also had the benefit of being required to do design and develop and deliver training on all of our software packages. Now, I do not in any way try to claim that that makes me understand what it is to be a teacher, but what it did give me was respect for the amount of resources and planning and prep work that goes into maintaining any kind of classroom. I had to wrangle 10 adults who actually signed up to be there. They have to wrangle many, many more children who did not. And so one of the things that I would like to focus on is making sure that we have the policies and the budgeting to ensure that our teachers have the resources, the tools, and the technology they need to help support them in that effort. But all of those tools and technology, as I progressed in my professional career and moved into institutional research, which is where I work now at Teachers College, which is a part of Columbia, has led me to understand exactly the pitfalls and dangers of those same tools sometimes. The models and the new developments around technology and AI and all of that have their own risks and they have their own concerns. That my own training, again, I have one master's in information systems and another in learning analytics, which is specifically predictive modeling for education. Those give me a background that let me understand the ways that we're putting potentially at risk some of the students when we implement some of these tools. If a tool is good for 95% of the students, but harms 5% horribly, that's not a good tool. And we need to be able to understand the risks and the benefits to any of the methods or tools or concepts that we're trying to bring into our classrooms. And so that's the other side of this, is that I would like to make sure that all of our policies, all of our procedures are designed to empower our teachers as much as possible without risking the safety and privacy and intellectual property of our students. Because as much as they're children, anything that they create in those classrooms is theirs. They actually did create it. It is their intellectual property. And we need to make sure that we're safeguarding that and it's not being uploaded to some other software package that is going to take advantage of it and use it to make money. So those are the kinds of things that I feel that I bring to this, could bring to this board, are the background to understand technology, the background to understand how it can be used and how we can leverage all of the analysis and all of the kind of reporting and all of that to move all of us forward, to move the next generation forward in the best possible way. Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Smythe, forgive me.
All right. Superintendent Hackett, Voorhees Board of Education and Community. My name is Allison Smythe, and I have been a Voorhees resident for almost a decade. I have a third grader at E.T. Hamilton. I am also an educator and have been teaching for over 2 decades. I think it is of utmost importance to have educators on a Board of Education. My priority is to foster an environment where students and teachers can excel and thrive. To truly understand and address the needs of our students and teachers, we must ensure that those who have walked in the path of education firsthand are actively involved in shaping its trajectory. I bring a wealth of practical experience to the decision-making table. My daily interactions with students and teachers provide a unique perspective on the challenges and successes within our schools. I will ensure that the policies are not detached from the realities of the classroom, but grounded in the practicalities of teaching and learning. I can serve as a voice of reason and understand the diverse needs of all students and teachers. I will champion policies that foster inclusive and equitable educational environments. My presence helps guarantee the decisions made at the board level directly contribute to the holistic development of students' academic, social, and emotional needs. To keep the education of our students moving forward, it is imperative to have educators on the Board of Education. It ensures that decisions are informed by the realities of the classroom. In conclusion, let's support having educators on the board to ensure a more well-rounded Board of Education in Voorhees. Thank you for your time.
And forgive me, is it Ms. Lepar?
Yes.
Ms. Lepar.
Last one. Oof. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here, and I thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I am Dr. Thomper. I'm a physician and endocrinologist by training. I'm married to a physician who is a nephrologist by profession, who was just here and left. We have 2 children in the Voorhees School District. One is a 6th grader in middle school. He loves basketball, so he had the game tonight, so he left. And have a 3rd grader who's in Signal Hill. Both of us strongly believe in the importance of education for our children, focusing on building a strong moral character and critical thinking skills. We believe in the importance of providing our kids with the resources they need to build a bright future for themselves and our society. Me and my family
We moved to Voorhees a few years ago, 2019 to be precise. We were drawn to its excellent school district, and we are proud to call Voorhees our home. Today, we are incredibly pleased with this decision after having witnessed the phenomenal quality of education and training my kids are getting here. Aside from my career as a physician, I volunteer and serve in various leadership capacities in several organizations in South Jersey. To name a few, I volunteer at time as a teacher at Bal Vihar. What Bal Vihar is a nonprofit organization dedicated to teaching Indian culture and Hindu values to children. I have organized various community events, including health fairs and community culture events for children. I'm also actively engaged with the India Temple Association in Berlin, and I serve as one of the trustees on their board. And recently, I had the privilege to be part of a seminar held at JCC about shared Hindu and Jewish values. I'm also involved with the Voorhees Culture and Diversity Committee, and I have given presentations at various local schools. I'm also involved in the School District DEI Committee. Currently, I serve as president of the PFA at Voorhees Middle School. As you can see, I am drawn to opportunities that allow me to volunteer my time outside of my work to help our teacher to teach them importance of education, culture, community, and diversity. As a mother, a physician, and as a community leader, I enjoy working with diverse communities. I like to deeply understand the challenges ahead and with collaboration and teamwork, help come up with solutions. Why me for this position? My credentials, my volunteer experience, and my values position me well to be successful in this role. I'm a great team player. I believe in teamwork, working together to enhance for our children. Tackling complex issues requires an appreciation of community values, hard work, and important collaborative skills, like communication, emotional intelligence, and respect for each other. I embody those. I embody important community values, such as respect for other communities, honesty, integrity, and accountability. And this is what I practice and preach in my everyday life. If given an opportunity, I will be honored to represent my community and be part of the team to help support and promote the school board's mission. Thank you.
Okay, alphabetically, Mr. Bryce, you're first, so why don't you remain, the rest of you can follow Mrs. Malady to the conference room.
Board members, you will find in your green folder the questions that will be asked of each candidate. Please ask the questions as written. The name of the person who will be asking the question is in the parentheses. Please do not ask any follow-up questions and do not ask any additional questions that are not on this list. We can start. Mr. Bryce, you want to join the podium? Awesome. Julie, you are up first.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Rice.
Good evening to you, Ms. Cadover.
What would be your top 3 priorities if selected to serve on the board?
So my top 3 priorities would be to be able to, number one, just to start the process of being able to work as a team. You know, we all have different values and perspectives that we bring, so I wanted to be able to be a team player. The second priority is to be able to kind of analyze some of the data a little further of why some of our kids are maybe struggling with the different things that's coming out of COVID and stuff like that. So I want to be able to kind of work as a team, to be able to kind of solve those issues and to be able to work on strategies to be able to see how we can start to elicit that level of change. And I think the last thing to do is to always continue to work on transparency. Everything is forever evolving. We want to be able to continue to strengthen that bridge between what we do at the board as well as what we communicate to the community and also to our wonderful teachers. So just to be able to have more of a union and more a strong pipeline, so to speak, to be able to communicate and just be able to just jump in and just kind of focus on the purpose and mission of the school board, of our schools, and our team goals, because that's what we were doing right before, I was out of office, is to, kind of focus on those team goals as well. So those would be my three priorities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen, what experience do you have to understand the needs of both students and teachers?
So I actually have the honor and the privilege to sit on both sides of the fence, so to speak. I've been a guidance counselor. Well, first of all, I've been a professional counselor for about 10 years now. I'm also a guidance counselor for the last 8 to 9 years. And then I've been a board member as well as in addition to that. So I'm not only an educator, but I'm also a community member too. So I'm very well faceted in all three aspects and perspectives that need to come together and merge to be able to have a very thriving district. So my experience, I also do a lot of community work. I am the executive director of the Four Walls and the Four Walls Foundation. We are now an outpatient office as well. We offer school-based youth services in Philadelphia, and we're expanding possibly, hopefully, prayerfully to Easton. And then, I also counsel and lead a team of about 50 to 65 employee contractors throughout the New Jersey system of care within 5 to 6 counties in New Jersey. So I bring a vast level of experience to the table. But most importantly, what I bring is a level of understanding on how to be able to work as a team so that all perspectives are represented.
Okay.
I drink my water, folks.
Please.
What do you believe is the top issue the district needs to address in its academic program?
It's a great question, Mr. Boston. I think the top thing is to be able to just making sure that our curriculum and our everything that we're trying to bring forth is representative to all students, so that everybody can learn. Everybody learns differently. So we have to be able to kind of meet that challenge that some kids may need this or this kid may need that, but being able to meet them at their level and then be able to bring them up to satisfactory levels is what I think is one of the top issues. It's hard for me just to say this is one issue. There's a lot of different issues that we can definitely tackle, but that would be something that I think is the most, because the bottom line is that we're all in this for kids to be educated and empowered so that they can evolve, right? So that to me would be the first thing. It's a great question.
Jennifer.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
How well do you collaborate with others, and provide at least one example of how you successfully collaborate with your colleagues?
Great question as well. I collaborate very well. I'm a team player, and I stay focused on the purpose. Sometimes the minutia of things, or sometimes different perspectives can clash at different times. But I think being a team player and being able to always kind of focus on the purpose is something that's very valuable, and that's something that I think that I possess, humbly speaking, of course. Something that I've kind of worked on is, I'm the leader and the liaison for the early college program down in Pennsboro, Carnegie Springs, New Jersey. What that is that gives an area, because it's a low socioeconomic area. So providing access to higher education for this community is very vital for not just them, but generations to come. So being able to come together and work with the George Washington Carver Foundation, Salem Community College, and Salem VOTEC to be able to kind of bring this opportunity to these students so that they can become higher education. again, a lot of these students were, just like me, D&F students, but now here they sit in June, being able to graduate with not only their high school diploma, but also a 2-year college degree that is transferable to any college in New Jersey. So being able to provide that access and work as a team with other and those particular partners is life-changing for that community. So that's what I kind of collaborated. I'm sure there's other examples, but that is the one that's off the top of my head. Thank you for that question, Ms. Stewart. Excuse me, Mrs. Stewart.
Julianne?
How will you bring a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to your work on the board?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Birdie. I think that's who I am. I think that I like to represent all people. It's my heart. That's what it is. We are all created differently, but the way that we blend is what makes life beautiful. It's like a box of crayons, so to speak. So how I bring that perspective is making sure that every child, no matter the culture, no matter whatever differences are amongst others, that we will all be able to kind of come together and just be able to represent their perspective on how they're looking at things. Again, I can't stress enough, being able to understand what that view is on the other side of the fence is so critical, because that's the different perspectives that some people can understand and some people can't. I grew up understanding what that life is on the other side of the fence. Since the time I was maybe 3 or 4, that I understood that my view was different than maybe others. Okay, growing up in New York, especially Long Island in 1980s, it was a different life than what it is right now. Okay, so being able to come and understand that perspective and being able to move and matriculate, I think it just makes me very, very knowledgeable about how to bring that perspective. And I've done a lot of work on DEI as well.
Thank you, that's all of the questions.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think you can stay. Yeah, you can stay.
Up to the VIP room.
Okay, good evening. What would be your top 3 priorities if selected to serve on this board?
Number 1, bringing more diversity and inclusion. So assimilation of a community as a one community, that would be the top, the first priority. The second one would be looking at it, how can the public dollars can be saved, how can we fill some of the holes in the, being an expert in the insurance industry and being an expert in safety and risk management, that would be the second thing to look at it. What can be done? How can I assist the board as and make a recommendation, and they can look into it, and how can we fill those gaps? And last one would be, how can we align the district's broader goal to have a community engagement within the community, within the district, and how we can work all together.
Thank you. Maureen?
What experience do you have to understand the needs of both students and teachers?
Okay. So, well, I mean, having a student at home, that, kind of gives a little bit of a leverage that, working with the students. But I mean, as I said earlier, that I've been having a 15 years experience working directly with the public schools, I also been involved with doing a lot of trainings, not only for the teachers, but also for the students at a different level, whether it's a safety and risk, whether it's a special needs. I mean, I have also done the training for the special needs. I mean, how you can assess them, how you can work with them, where you create the boundaries, how you deal with them, And I have an experience, in those areas as well as working on the diversity, harassment, and other areas of disciplines of the topics, and that I have to deal with not only with the students, but also with the teachers as well.
What do you believe is the top issue the district needs to address in its academic program?
Academically, first of all, let me tell you, and it's a hard question that you ask, and the reason why, because it's a blue ribbon school, that's why we chose to live here. So obviously academically programs are working, but I think how can we bring all the students, bring an inclusion, and when I say inclusion, what I mean is bringing up more diverse programs, not only for a different variety, different cultures, and different areas, but also what else we can do to stimulate all the students that have special needs and others, how they can also be part of exclusive group, and we can keep them in a one classroom, one setting if possible.
Jennifer?
Good evening. How well do you collaborate with others? Provide at least one example of how you successfully collaborate with your colleagues.
Well, I think, the success is if you work as a team. We all could have different ideas, and based on the different ideas, that could be very good on a paper, maybe very look practically, to my own opinion, but when you put it in a work, that may not work. So if you can work all together, it's a brainstorming. When I have an idea, that is not free of errors. So when you do collaborate with other team members, you find the mistakes, you find the gaps, then you correct it, and as a team effort, you can do it. This is one of the my expertise are being as a leader of strategic risk at Alamo Insurance Group. That's what I do when I do the ERM or enterprise risk management. How to bring all the stakeholders together, how you work together, how you eliminate those communication gaps, especially at the school district. I'm going to give an example. There could be a different opinion what the teachers have, what the unions have, what the custodial maintenance staff have, and what the board has. And a lot of times, everybody has a good intention to work on it, but there could be a communication gaps. Those communication gaps needs to be open, and how that could be open if we work together as a team member. We work as one team. We are one district. We are one team.
How will you bring a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to your work on the board?
There are different ways to do it. Obviously, it's part of the curriculum, and New Jersey Department of Education and Department of Civil Rights also strive for that. They have a lot of workshops, bringing a lot more workshops at the schools, having a diversity program at a different school, maybe an international base, because a lot of schools do it already. Eastern Regional does it. Have more education on different cultural values and how we can respect each other's cultural value and be together as a team.
Thank you so much. That's all of the questions for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay in here.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening. What would be your top 3 priorities if you are selected to serve on the board?
My top 3 priorities would be finding the ways to best integrate technology within our school district, as well as ensuring that the data collected on our students is only truly required data. There are too many places where they collect data because it could be useful. We should only be collecting information if we have an actual direct use for it, and to ensure that our teachers have the resources that they need to be effective in the day-to-day.
Thank you.
What experience do you have to understand the needs of both students and teachers?
So my experience with understanding teachers is that, at least from admittedly a slightly different perspective, being college professors, I've been working with them for over 20 years and working directly with helping them to plan out their resources and give them the data they need to understand what is effective and not effective in their classrooms. And then from a perspective of students, I understand what learning methodologies are, and my own second master's degree in learning analytics had me required to take several courses in understanding learning methods and the psychology of learning.
Yep, just taking a note.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll drop it. What do you believe is the top issue the district needs to address in its academic program?
I would say that the top issue the district needs to address in its academic program would be to better leverage the information we have in reporting and data to understand exactly where the shortfalls are within the actual outcomes and in the teaching process. We have data on testing and all the rest of it. We could be leveraging that and doing a deeper dive and better analysis perhaps to say where those shortfalls are and where we can shore them up.
Good evening. How well do you collaborate with others? Provide at least one example of how you successfully collaborate with your colleagues.
So my entire position is about building analysis and data reporting and building out the tools that the rest of my colleagues need to understand what the patterns are that are happening at our school. I regularly have to take in requirements and take in and collaborate and discuss with what is actually legally possible, what is viable within our data sets, and everything else to get us to a point where we can at least accomplish their overall goal. Because what I like to say is that we don't tell people no, we tell them, well, what about if we tried something else? And that is the kind of collaborative style that I work with.
How will you bring a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to your work on the board?
So one of the things I actually stood at this podium before and spoke about is the kind of shortfalls and pitfalls and fears that can be created with the biased data sets that are brought into AI models. And the backgrounds I have in understanding that we need to have a full and diverse data set before we actually can do any real analysis is part of that. And my own personal background as a part of the LGBT community gives me another lens on a marginalized community and how that can impact existing as a student.
Thank you. That's all the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay in the room.
I'm just kidding.
Good evening. What would be your top 3 priorities if selected to serve on the board?
I mean, I think the first priority has to be students and to make sure that we're doing all the best things that we can do for the students with our curriculum and how we're getting our students to succeed. My second priority as a teacher is going to be teachers. I think that having the best teachers and supporting our teachers is the way to get our students to where we need them to be. And my third priority, I want to say curriculum and making sure that we're up to date on our curriculum, and especially social emotional curriculum, as that is such a hot button issue right now. And I even know with my son, the social and emotional is a big component.
Thank you.
What experience do you have to understand the needs of both students and teachers?
I am a teacher, and I have been for over 20 years, and I am in a classroom, several different classrooms. I'm a teacher of the deaf, and so I work with students with varying disabilities, and I work in a preschool to 8th grade district, and I drive around all day, going to a kindergarten room, working with 7th graders, working with students with autism, and so I think that is my experience.
What do you believe is the top issue the district needs to address in its academic program?
I believe the top issue that we need to address in academics is language arts, to be honest. I think that reading and writing are something that all children need and all children to exceed in, and that will unlock the door to many opportunities for our students.
How well do you collaborate with others? Provide at least one example of how you successfully collaborate with your colleagues.
All day, I am working with all different teachers, all different case managers, all different guidance counselors, and all different principals. I am collaborating all day. I am in and out of many different classrooms, and if I didn't collaborate, I probably would not have a job.
How will you bring a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to your work on the board?
I think because I am special education, I do have a lot of experience in diversity and equability and how to keep, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say it. Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
How will you bring a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to your work on the board?
I think all day, every day, I am doing an inclusion job, and so I can take what I am seeing in my classrooms and bring that to the board and see what we need for our students as well.
Thank you, that's all the questions. You're welcome to stay in here.
Beauty pageant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's not a beauty pageant. What would be your top 3 priorities if selected to serve on the board?
Top 3 priorities. Education, curriculum, and infrastructure. And that would be part of the curriculum to add more diversity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What experience do you have to understand the needs of both students and teachers?
So you need teachers. So in my culture, teachers are called gurus. Teachers, they shape up the life of students, like a lot did for me, and that's why I'm here where I am. So teachers are the most important that we need to shape up lives of our students who are our future and our nation.
What do you believe is the top issue the district needs to address in its academic program?
Academic program. So, it is an excellent school district. However, I'm still trying to figure out that why a lot of people still want to go to Princeton for their education.
That's something I would want to figure out, what, if chosen, as to why we can't make our Voorhees school system the best system where everybody wants to come and study here, rather than going to Princeton.
How well do you collaborate with others? Provide at least one example of how you successfully collaborate with your colleagues.
In my profession as a physician, that's my job. I collaborate with my colleagues. I work well with my patients, and that's why they come back to me. Being a physician itself, you need to be a team player. And that's what I can say about myself.
How will you bring a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens to your work on board?
Do you mean the education board? How would I?
Correct.
I believe I already have, being a part of a DEI committee, and I have given several presentations in the school in terms of diversity. So I feel I have done that by giving presentations, and if I am on the board, that's what I would like to continue to do.
That's all of the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
So first and foremost, listen, we all recognize this is a volunteer job, so thank you all for volunteering your time and offering to serve on this board. I think all of you are really exceptional candidates and offer really different and diverse backgrounds, and I couldn't ask for a better slate of individuals, so thank you all for coming out tonight, for preparing. I know this can be a little nerve-wracking, but we really all appreciate your time and your energy. We are going to move to board discussion. If anyone has a comment or wants to make a statement, now is the time to do so.
I'll make a comment. I would like to thank everybody for coming out and for speaking. Like Ms. Watson said, it's nerve-wracking for sure to get up and talk. It's even more nerve-wracking to answer questions that you don't have in advance. I'm somebody that does not enjoy public speaking, so my palms are sweating for you. So I really do just appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone, if it was out of your comfort zone, and doing so. I would like to bring up the fact that I am the only person in public education that sits on this board, and I think that that perspective is very, very important in our conversations, and I think that it is important that we have somebody join us that understands what it is to be a teacher and what it is to be in the classroom and understand the needs of the teachers and the students.
Any other comments?
I just want to say that this is going to be a very difficult decision. I know personally for me that I am just blown away by all of our candidates, and I want to echo what Ms. Runner and Ms. Watson said, just how impressed I am with all of the candidates, and also just knowing how difficult it is to put your hat in the ring. It takes a lot of courage, and so I want to thank you for putting your hat in the ring and your willingness to serve this community. It is honorable, and we very much appreciate hearing from each of you and learning about your experience and perspective. So thank you to each and every one of you for wanting to be here.
Seeing no other comments or hearing no other comments, we are going to move to nominations. I will open it up for nominations now. I nominate Jason Bryce.
I'd like to second that nomination.
I would like to nominate Allison Smythe.
Second that nomination.
Any other nominations? Motion to close the nominations.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and I have a second. I'm going to call a voice vote to close the nominations. Ms. Kedover?
Yes.
Mr. Rosen?
Yes.
Mr. Rosner?
Yes.
Mrs. Rudder?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Verdi?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes.
Nominations are closed.
Okay, so we are going to move to the first nominated candidate, which is Jason Bryce.
I'll call the roll. Ms. Kedover?
Yes.
Mr. Rosen?
No.
Mr. Rosner?
No.
Mrs. Rudder?
No.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Verdi?
Yes.
Mrs. Watson?
Yes.
4 yeses, 3 noes. Mr. Bryce is appointed.
Again, I want to, I know that this is very nerve-wracking how the process works. However, please, I encourage all of the people who came out, who are all exceptional. Please, there's going to be opportunities come election time. Please consider running in the election as well, because we need candidates just like all of you. And congratulations again, Mr. Rice.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving to item 7.1. Can I get a motion to, did I skip something? Okay, I didn't say it. There is no executive session. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the November 20th, 2023 regular board meeting? Was there an executive? There may have been an executive session also. Oh, and I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, we have to do them separately, so, yeah. So this is for the November 20th, 2023 regular board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Voting is open. I have Mr. Rosen abstained, Mrs. Stewart abstained, everyone else said yes. Closing the voting.
Motion to approve the minutes of the January 3rd, 2024 regular board meeting, the board reorganization.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, who's second?
Julie and Julie.
Online voting is open. Motion unanimously passes.
I have no president's comments. The fire drills and safety drills, as shown on the attachments. The harassment, intimidation, and bullying report is provided. Same with the suspensions report. We have 2 Oprah requests. One is closed and one is denied. Denied and then closed. Board secretary report.
Okay, thank you very much. My report is a little bit lengthy today, but I will try to make it as quickly as possible. The first item is the presentation of the 22-23 audit report. There was a summary report available to the public, and each board member also received it. The items addressed under this section are 20.24 and 20.25. Under 20.24 is what they call it's really our annual audit. There's an AMR, that's the management report, and a peer review letter for Bowman & Company. And there's also the audit resolution there. 20.25 is the corrective action plan, which we'll go over that in a minute. If everyone has a copy of the summary audit report, basically, it's just a few pages from the entire audit, and it shows our modified accrual basis financial statements and how they reconcile to the accrual basis, which is what auditing firms have to present to keep everyone consistent. And then it also lists our corrective action plan, and I'll go over that again in a minute when we talk about that. There's one item, it's a repeat item, but it's not a bad item to have. All right, so that's the synopsis. Then, also included in the audit, there's a report, there's reports that concern our enterprise fund. And that is what they call Exhibit B5. The enterprise fund is made up of food service and CER, community education recreation, because those are entities that are standalone. They're supposed to be self-sufficient. Our community education recreation CER program is a wonderful program. It does well every single year. Mr. Redfern is the director. He does a great job. It's profitable every year, and the money does go back into the district to buy things that benefit the program and also the district. That entity they rent out all of our buildings, they do our summer programs, they do our before and after school care. The other item in there is food service. So food service is also a standalone enterprise. Food service is supposed to be self-sufficient, and that's always a very difficult thing to do. In the past, sometimes it did run at a deficit, but during the COVID years, there was extra money that was given to school districts that was really great, because the students received free meals, free breakfast, free lunches, and so our reimbursements from the state and federal government was very high. So because of that, we had a surplus of cash, and many districts had the same issue. So that's what our corrective action plan is, so I'll go over that in a few minutes. But just to let you know a little bit about food service, is for the year ending June 30th, 2023, we have what they call net change in position, which is kind of like net income of $12,395. So after everything is said and done, all the meals, sold to children and anything else that goes on within the food service entity, we only profited by $12,395. But in that number is supply chain assistance that we received also as a result of COVID. The state keeps giving us money there. So we received $147,263 for that. So really, we would run at a deficit of $134,867. So that's not the greatest, but that has happened before. It is a struggle to stay positive in food service, but that's just something that all districts also deal with. So participation, you try to encourage participation, and then that also helps. So I just wanted to put that out there because that is one of the items in the audit, and during what we get reviewed by the county, and they always want to make sure that your food service is self-sufficient, because otherwise the regular operating budget has to fund it, and then that's using the money from your operating budget that you don't really want to do, but some districts do have to do that. So right now we're okay, because we do have surplus there, and we would have a little room to have some negatives, but we try to break even. Okay, also in the audit, they detail all of our fund balance and how much we have in each of our reserves. And reserves are also a great thing. We always try to replenish them, and we have a list of projects that we want to work on. And I'll talk about something else in my next section too, about our preschool and how our reserves have helped us there. The finding that we received relates to food service. So I talked about this at previous board meetings, that in June of 22, there's a calculation that goes on every year by the auditor. And in food service, you're not allowed to have more than 3 months worth of expenses accumulated in your cash. But during those COVID years, like I said, reimbursements from the state and the federal government were high. So we did have more than that in food service, but you can only use it for certain items, mostly equipment. So when we ended June 30th, 22, we had $342,852, which is a huge number. But again, we were supposed to use that to buy equipment and so forth. So what we did is we assessed everything in all of our kitchens and replaced a lot of equipment that was old. So when June 30th of 23 came to be, we had $193,969. Now, you don't really usually want repeat findings because that goes against some points that the county assesses you at too. But we wrote to the Department of Agriculture to say, we know many districts are having this situation, and we don't want to spend money just to spend money. because we want to use this money in our new preschool, because we will have to buy all the equipment to fit out their kitchen. And that $193,000 could do that. So that's money that we got from the government. We need to use it for something, and even though we're gonna have to take the hit for it on our audit, we're not spending that money frivolously. So the Department of Agriculture said, that's fine, you have a plan, you're good. But the audit program doesn't change. The rule is if you have a repeat finding, it has to be on a corrective action plan. Our auditor recognizes that, but there's nothing he can do. So the finding is, the school district's food service fund net cash resources exceeded its 3 months average expenditures by $193,969 at June 30th. The recommendation that the school district continue to expend funds in accordance with its approved spending plan in order to reduce the food service fund's net cash resources below its 3 months average expenditures. The method of implementation, the school district will expend these funds in fiscal year 23-24 in accordance with the carryover plan that was approved by the New Jersey Department of Agriculture in October 2023. So all that is in compliance. We have a plan. We have some good news about our preschool building, and that $193,000 will be used to buy all the kitchen equipment for that school, which is excellent. Okay, so that's that. So that's also one of the things we'll be approving tonight. All right, so that's about everything on the audit. So that's only my first item under this section. Sorry. The next one is a little bit later. Okay, the Burlington County Insurance Pool. We're part of a joint insurance fund. It's called BCIP GIF. And every year they have a dinner. They call it the State of the GIF dinner. Last year, in 23, we won Safety District of the Year. In 22, we got Star Safety Award for our supervisor of buildings and grounds, so we do really well. We do really well with safety and in that area, reporting things when they happen, unfortunately. But we also got an award this year for safety incentive, claims reporting, financial excellence. We've got $7,000. Last year we got $8,000. So it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but we like winning things, so we were happy. And also I should add that Mrs. Stubler and Mrs. Cosenza attended that event. But thank you, Mrs. Cosenza. We're always glad to have support. And she got to see us win District of the Year, right? Wasn't that fun? We love that. Okay. So then the next item is maintenance projects over the winter break. Mr. Mathis, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, and our new Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds, and their staff work really hard all the time, but even more so when the school's closed, because they have a small window of time to knock out a lot of projects. So they did that over winter break. Also, they did a tremendous job during our recent snowstorm, ice storm, whatever we had. And I know for a fact that they worked on Saturday and Sunday of that one weekend, making sure everything was ready for us to start school again. So I do want to thank them for that. Over winter break, some of the items that they did is they scheduled a demolition of the existing playground at Signal Hill, so a new one could be put in. They installed LED lighting at VMS in the main office, nurse's office, CER office, and A wing. They assembled and installed new art room tables. They did painting at VMS, theater hallways, boys locker room, vestibule. At Hamilton, they put in 2 new fan heaters in the boys and girls room by the all-purpose room. They installed tack strip in the hallway. At Crescent, they cleaned out gym rooftop units. At Osage, they replaced some broken locks and additional keys for paper towel dispensers. Did some indoor air quality checking. And for maintenance, they serviced the snowplows, serviced the Kubota tractor, and we do have those 2 school buses that we will be using soon, but they run them just to make sure they're still fine. At all the sites, we also did a lockdown, a testing of our lockdown security system during winter break, and everything was good. In this building, they extracted carpets in the boardroom, the carpets in here are clean, and the hallway, set up the boardroom for the reorganization meeting, because when we came back, we went right into that, and then did some other things around here as well. So thank you very much for your hard work all the time. The next item is a very exciting item, and a culmination of something we've been working very hard on for really over a year. So around October of 22, Mr. Mathis brought to our attention a building that was in Gibbsboro, and we were looking to expand our preschool program. And that building seemed suitable for us, however, it was not in our town. So we went for a tour of it, we liked it, and since October of 22, we've been pursuing that building. We've had many meetings with Gibbsboro representatives, their mayor, their planning board, with our engineers, our architects, lots and lots of meetings. In May 30th, we had a special board meeting in order to submit to the Department of Education an application for, they call it land acquisition, meaning you're buying a building. So you have to submit that, say what you're going to use it for, the whole plan. But also, at the same time, there was a preschool facility expansion grant available, and we rushed to have that special meeting so we could apply for it, because the application deadline was May 31st. So we also did that. It took a long time, it was May 30th, but finally, on January 8th, we received approval to acquire the building from the Department of Ed. And even better, on January 10th, we received approval for a $6 million grant to put towards the renovation of that building. Because without that grant, with our budget, we're using reserve, we don't have to do a bond referendum, which is excellent. We have capital reserve money. So we were pulling out capital reserve money to buy the building and renovate the building. However, we couldn't pull it all out because that would make it very low. We have other projects. So this $6 million will enable us to renovate both the first floor and the second floor at one time. We really did not want to do it in stages. That's not the best way. So now we'll be able to do that. So that was excellent news, a lot of hard work, a lot of meetings, but we're grateful to everybody involved and to the state for giving us this opportunity. And it's amazing because it hits a lot of really great things. Shared services, because we have been meeting with Gibbsboro Board of Ed, and they're going to have 5 classrooms in that building. We're going to have 19. So it's a shared service with another district to provide preschool and pool our services. Like we're a bigger district, so we have some other positions that they don't have. So they could utilize that, and then, of course, we do share the cost. They will be paying for the use of those 5 classrooms. So it's a shared service. It's a reuse of a building. That building's been sitting there probably for 7 or more years, so now it will be used, which is great. We're going to put in a playground right behind it, so that can be used by us, but also off hours by other children. I'm trying to think of anything else. There were a few things that we hit on, and it's preschool expansion. You know, so we really, I know the governor wants that, we want that, and it's amazing because our universe is calculated out about 500 students. We can't put those 500 students in the buildings that we have here. We needed to expand. So we're currently working with 3 providers, but even with the 3 providers and Crescent, we still can't house 500 students. So this building will enable us to hit that target and also bring Gibbsboro in. Because Gibbsboro would have to build also. Like, this is just something great happening, but people don't have that facility in place. So this pulls all that together. So we're super excited. And under the buildings and grounds section of the agenda, there's several items there. 19.2 is authorization to proceed to closing. 19.3 is authorization to advertise for bids. 19.4 is recognizing that the grant has been offered to us for $6 million and approving that that is the amount. 19.5 is a shared service agreement for communications. Haddon Township has a consortium that they put together with several districts. And we're joining in with that because with a project like this, just like if somebody has a bond referendum to build a building, there's always questions that come up. And there could be questions from the community. This time we have 2 communities involved. There could be questions from parents. I mean, this is a big undertaking. So we can join this consortium. We're buying in for 9 days of services at $6,500, where they have a public information officer that will help to answer these questions in a timely manner, where the rest of us are moving forward with the project. 19.6 is an MOU with Gibbsboro Board of Education. That lays out all of the agreement that we have with them, how much they'll pay us, how many classrooms we're providing, and it's over a period of, I believe it's 5 years. So that lays out everything. And in the future, we will have an MOU with the borough itself because there's going to be things going on there too. You know, we are on their property, but we're providing the playground. We'll be providing some plowing for them in that area because buses and cars will be going around there. So everything is best when it's laid out in an agreement and it's memorialized. So that's that whole section. But again, thank you everyone who's been involved in that. I know there's been a lot of time spent, but this is a major accomplishment. We're very happy and very excited, right? Yes. Okay. The next one, Food Service Advisory Council. That's pretty exciting too. On the 29th at 6 o'clock, we had our very first Food Service Advisory Council meeting or committee meeting. It's virtual Zoom meeting. We put out a notice, Ms. Donnelly put out a notice asking people to send any questions if they had them. We received maybe 10 questions, and then we were able to answer them directly at the meeting and also respond by email to them. In the meeting was Dr. Hackett, myself, and Tina Artusa, she's the food service director, and we had 21 people attend the Zoom meeting. The meeting lasted a little bit over 30 minutes. We received, like I said, the emailed questions and also live questions. Most of the questions centered around food allergies, meatless options, meatless Mondays, vegan, vegetarian meals, carb counts, and the length of the lunch period. So we addressed all those. Tina was amazing with her responses to them. And some of the answers were she is going to institute meatless Mondays starting in March. Some people said that if you have a chicken quesadilla, couldn't you have a cheese quesadilla? She's going to do that. The other options are garden salads, daily, cereal, grab and go. She's adding a veggie burger, and all this comes from the input from the parents. So we heard a lot of great suggestions, and there's an open communication where they can contact Tina to give her more suggestions. But they like the veggie burger idea. Some people said their child is allergic to milk, so she's going to have shelf-stable soy milk available. And also every day she has 2 options daily for vegetarian or vegan. So that way, people can buy lunch and enjoy what they like to eat, but also maybe they have limitations as to what they can eat. So it'll make everyone happy. The next item is School Board Recognition Month. So January is School Board Recognition Month, and we're very thankful for our former and current board members. So I will read off, and this is a little bit lengthy, I will read off a resolution thanking all of our board members. So thank you so much. Whereas New Jersey School Boards Association has declared January 2024 to be School Board Recognition Month, a time when all residents can acknowledge the contributions made by our local school board members. And whereas the Voorhees Township Board of Education is one of 581 local school boards in New Jersey, which sets policies and oversees operations for public school districts. And whereas the Voorhees Township Board of Education embraces the goal of high-quality education for all New Jersey public school students, and whereas New Jersey's local school boards help determine the educational goals for approximately 1.4 million children in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade, and whereas New Jersey's 5,000 local school board members who receive no remuneration for their services act as advocates for public school students as they work with administrators, teachers, and parents for the betterment of public education, and whereas school boards strive to provide the resources necessary to meet the needs of all students, including those with special needs, and whereas boards of education provide accountability to the public, they communicate the needs of school districts to the public, and they convey to school administrators the public's expectations for schools, and whereas New Jersey can take pride in its schools, which rank among the nation's best in key achievement indicators, such as the National Assessment of Educational Progress scores and the preparation for college through advanced placement offerings and SAT assessments, now therefore be it resolved that the Voorhees Township Board of Education does hereby recognize the services of local school board members throughout New Jersey as we join communities statewide in observing January 2024 as School Board Recognition Month, and be it further resolved that the Voorhees Township Board of Education urges all New Jersey citizens to work with their local boards of education and public school staffs toward the advancement of our children's education. Again, thank you very much for your service. We greatly appreciate it.
Superintendent, sure.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to once again just acknowledge Mr. Sepinen and the middle school students. What an amazing presentation. We're so very proud of them, and they are just an example of the wonderful teachers and students that we have in this district. Great job. Thank you so much, Mr. Sepinen. There's a quote by Jana Stanfield that reads, "I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do." That quote rings true regarding the volunteer service of our board members. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to our board members for their service. Thank you for answering the call to become a board member and giving of yourself to improve the educational experiences of our students. We have selected Hey Tutor, which is on the agenda this evening, to serve as our vendor for the high impact tutoring grant that we received in the amount of $229,295 for this school year. We are excited about this program, which will provide in-class support and pull-out tutorial services for identified 3rd and 4th grade students, and will begin implementation upon receiving board approval. I'm also delighted to inform everyone that Voorhees was selected to receive the New Jersey Preschool Inclusive Education NJPIEP grant, which is sponsored by the New Jersey Department of Education and facilitated by the Montclair State University, and a resolution appears on the agenda this evening. The goals of this program is to provide support for inclusive education. That support is in the form of training, reflective discussions, coaching, and consultation. So we're very excited. I will let everyone know that whenever there is a grant or an opportunity, this team definitely submits it, because we want to bring as many programs and services for our students and our staff. And finally, just a reminder that on February 7th, we'll have another parent virtual workshop titled Suggested Books for Reading with My Child. So I hope our parents can attend on February 7th. The link can be found on the website. Thank you, Board President. That ends my report.
Thank you. We had a bunch of committee meetings over the last couple of weeks. So we have 4 committee reports. We will start with Mrs. Stewart with a policy committee report.
Yes, President Watson. The policy committee met for an hour on January 24th and had a productive meeting. For first read, we discussed policy 164, conduct of board meetings. For second read, we reviewed the following policies and regulations for revision. Policy 2270, religion in the schools, reflecting updated guidance received from the U.S. Department of Education in May 2023. Policies 3161 and 4161, examination for cause, reflecting revisions to the process a school district must use when a board or a superintendent requires a staff member to undergo a physical or psychiatric examination. And policies and regulations 3212 and 4212, attendance, in light of recent legislation expanding the allowable uses of sick time for school employees. The committee also discussed policy 5701, plagiarism, as it pertains to emerging AI technology, and anticipates revisiting discussion of this policy update in the near future. Lastly, the committee discussed continued work on the board handbook, which is a comprehensive onboarding guide for new board members, and looks forward to reviewing next steps during our February meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosner, Personnel Committee report.
Yes, thanks. The Personnel Committee met on Thursday, January 18th and Tuesday, January 23rd. We discussed a grievance filed by the union regarding interpretation of the new sick leave law. Thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Rudder, the Academic Excellence Committee report.
Yes, the Academic Excellence Committee met on January 17th. Members were informed of the Character Strong program that will be presented to the district guidance counselors at the February 16th in-service. We also discussed after-school clubs, and the principals will begin the process of student participation in February. I would like to give a shout out to Dr. Hackett and everybody on the board that helped bring this to fruition. The committee had questions about leadership opportunity for 5th graders. We also had a conversation about math classes for 8th graders heading off to Eastern, and the Summer School Learning Academy data was reviewed for 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mrs. Verdi, Technology Committee report.
Thank you. We held our first committee meeting virtually on January 25th at 6 p.m. I want to thank our committee members, Jacob Rosner and Richard Rosen, for making the time to meet promptly this month once committee assignments were announced. We were also joined by Mrs. Kedover, filling in for Mrs. Watson, who wasn't able to make our meeting. Since this is a committee that only met once last year, we started our meeting discussing a regular cadence for our committee meetings moving forward throughout the year. We landed on meeting the 3rd Thursday of the month unless there's no new business or agenda items on a given month, in which case we won't meet. We also discussed that all committee members are welcome and encouraged to suggest items for our committee's agenda and that as chair, I will make every effort to ensure all of those suggestions are afforded time on agendas. We also wanted to ensure that non-committee members also have a voice and encourage non-committee members to email suggestions or thoughts on committee items. Moving on to substantive conversation, we discussed 4 topics. First, we discussed our current lunch payment processing system that families currently use for lunch payments and the payment processing fees currently passed on to families associated with that system. Next, we continued the conversation begun last year with the committee to address the potential procurement of iPad keyboards and the inherent value of ensuring Voorhees students learn typing skills. We also discussed the use of AI in the district and the work of the leadership team working on a protocol document to come on the topic. The committee looks forward to reviewing and contributing to that document. Finally, we briefly discussed the malfunction of the security system at BMS last week. Our committee is currently scheduled to meet again on February 15th. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this report.
Audience participation. Anyone wishing to address the board, please approach the side table on the right and write your name and address in the login sheet. While the board is limited in its ability to respond to the public on matters involving personnel, litigation, negotiations, and attorney-client privilege, the board will now hear comments from the public relating to items on the agenda for this board meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board will not take action this evening. You will be notified at some later time by letter, electronic mail, telephone, or in the context of a later board meeting of any action the board does take. Okay, seeing no comments. Board comment? Oh, sorry. Yes, no, please.
I have questions and concerns with Hey Tutor, this California company coming into our schools during the school day to tutor children. Who are these people who will be coming into the school, who interviews them and decides they're qualified? After checking the Hey Tutor website, it appears all of that is done by that company. So who are those people? That company is hiring people who are not certified to be teachers to pull students out of their classrooms and away from their very capable certified teachers for lessons. How is that company obtaining the data to best bridge the gap for the struggling students? Is Voorhees giving the students scores out to this company? Is that with or without parent permission? What type of data will be collected to ensure these non-certified people are assisting and helping struggling students? In the board agenda, it says they're going to be contracted for the summer as well. Is that a new program, or are they taking the place of the Summer Learning Academy? I truly hope that this company is not in place of Summer Learning Academy. Our teachers put their heart into that program, and our students go there looking forward to seeing their teachers over the summer. I can tell you firsthand, my son only went because his teachers he knew and trusted were there. Why can the grant money not be used to pay our own teachers to tutor children after school and in the summer? The state is allowing that, and I can tell you that Berlin is using their own teachers with that grant money. If the concern is with the struggling learners, then what about looking at the programs we have and that work, like Spire? And find a grant to pay for more teachers in our district to be trained properly in teaching Spire within the school day. If you do vote yes on this, how will parents know their child is on the list for this during the school tutoring, and are we able to opt out?
Hey guys, I'm Mohammed. I'm sure you guys are aware I've been in this, at least 3 or 4 meetings. First of all, I have a lot of concerns with Voorhees Board of Education. And before I speak to the list what I have prepared, the first added to it, I have extreme reservations that Voorhees Board is collaborating with Lockheed Martin. As a parent, I wouldn't want to send my child for a company. First of all, I I'm trained in both MIT and Harvard Medical School, so I'm an immuno-oncologist by my profession, so I'm a biggest proponent of STEM. I'm here because of STEM. And I wouldn't want to collaborate with a company which weaponizes. Over here, I can see it's cute, making some dancing robots, but guess what? I don't know about you guys, but I want the parents to know that they are the ones who are making weapons to kill kids, enable genocide, and have serious human violations on their record. So if you really, and of course, I'm not going to come here and complain about that. I'm going to come with a solution as well. So if you really want to have STEM education to our kids, please collaborate with NASA, please collaborate with NIH, National Institute of Health, please collaborate with Google, please collaborate with Tesla, Apple, Microsoft. There are many other ways to make good engineering students rather than collaborate with someone weaponized and teach children how to make dancing robots. Coding is not at all hard. In this day and generation, I can learn coding on YouTube. So it's nothing great about it. So I'm sorry I'm not going personal to you, but there are many other options, trust me, from where I'm coming from. I have serious reservations when it comes to Lockheed Martin. They make weapons. So it looks cute, but if that's not cute, there is something else.
Please direct your comments to the.
Okay, so direct comment to you, especially, so this whole board election beautifully handled, but you know what, there are certain things that just got wiped out. And the serious thing is that there was a gross violation of policy number 0167, where last month you failed public humiliation, you enabled Naveen Khan's resignation, you forced her to resign. Understand that yes, DEI is the most cutest thing to happen. Again, another cute thing. DEI. But guess what? It's not just one particular religion or one particular color or one particular instant that has to be followed. I'm letting you know that there are other cultures, other religions, other thought processes, and most importantly, First Amendment. So the fact that the First Amendment right was being violated along with 0167, where the school matters will not be discussed, but more of a certain thing which is happening on a global scale.
Sorry, your time has expired.
Totally fine. I'm glad I made the point. Thank you. I want your resignation. Thank you.
Any other audience comments? Seeing none. Board member comments?
I'd like to make a comment. So I want to thank Mr. Sepinen and the experience that the robotics team had in learning about real-world application of the skills that they were learning. So in some of my work, I could hear what was going on, what they did in things that I'm working on, like requirements and discovery, like they did the build, test, and they deployed it. And secondly, like, I would just want you to tell the student who said the thing about video games, without coding, he wouldn't even be able to play video games. So like, that's part of learning. That is part of, you get to enjoy it, but behind it is a lot of work. So, and the other thing is, let me go to the other side, hold on one second. I just want to give kudos to the admin for all the work that they put in to get the preschool grant and move this process along. There's so many different steps and gates and deadlines, etc. And it's really impressive. And the passion that Ms. Haley shows in her explanation of this. I know sometimes board meetings can be a little dry, and sometimes finance can be a little dry, but the passion that she brings to the job and even the minutia of these things is amazing. So I just want to say thank you to Ms. Haley and Dr. Hack and everyone else involved in this process. It's going to benefit this district greatly.
Any other board comments?
Yes. All right, so a friend sent me a meme this week that said, quote, 30 days past September, April, June, and November, unless a leap year is its fate, February has 28. All the rest have 3 days more, except January, which has 6,184. I don't know about you all, but this has been one heck of a month. And for this board, between 2 full board meetings and all the committees hitting the ground running, holding their first meetings of the calendar year, this board has been extremely busy. And when I say this board, I mean the elected board members, but also the administrative staff who has to support us in all of those meetings. So on this School Board Appreciation Month, I want to thank and acknowledge my fellow board members for all of the work this month. With all the changes we've made in the last year, our committees, in my opinion, are poised to be the most active they've ever been, which is what we want and what we need as a district, since the committees are where the work is supposed to happen. I love that every board member has an opportunity to suggest agenda items for our committees, even if we're not a member of that committee, so that we can contribute our ideas and values. Every board member comes to this role with lived experiences and intersectional identities that impact our view on issues. For myself, as someone who grew up in a food insecure household on food stamps, that has meant for me, for example, keeping a careful eye on food costs for our families in the district. What I love about this board is that each of us brings something unique to this work, and each of us identifies issues others of us may have overlooked or hadn't thought about before. And by allowing opportunities for collaboration and discussion, we can all use our experience and expertise to govern with the best interests of every student in the district and their life experiences in mind. I encourage this board to remain collaborative, not allow personal issues to impact our ability to work together, and to encourage, not stifle or shut down conversations on substantive issues just because at first glance we might disagree. It's through those hard conversations and disagreements that compromise and collaborative thinking shine through and can produce great outcomes for this district. Speaking of outcomes, I've been thinking a lot about the pandemic as we draw nearer to another anniversary of the start of it. The New York Times published an article today summarizing the result of the first detailed national study of how US students are recovering from pandemic learning loss. We know we're not there yet. There's still an impact on test scores, suspension rates, and mental health. It was a very informative article that I encourage others to read. It really outlined a wide range in recovery across the country, and unfortunately did note some widening gaps in equity issues. But my takeaway from the article is really a sense of gratitude to our administration. The article talked about how one effective strategy that is seen across districts with stronger post-COVID recoveries spent more of the federal COVID dollars on academics than those who focused more on renovating school buildings. The article specifically called out prioritization of added instruction time, like intensive tutoring and summer school, as proven by research to produce significant gains. The law required only 20% of the money be used to be spent on learning loss, but districts could of course do more. I'm proud of and grateful to our administration for prioritizing things like before and after school tutoring and the summer learning program. As a parent, I've seen the success of these programs helping my own child make remarkable progress over the last year combating learning loss. And I know so many others who have children who have benefited from these programs in Voorhees as well. So kudos to our administration and of course to the staff implementing these programs. They truly make a difference. I want to encourage families to take advantage of these programs if your child is identified for them. There is no shame in a child needing a little extra help. They've been through a lot in the last few years. So finally, as the 6,184th day of January comes to an end, and in the spirit of School Board Appreciation Month, I want to thank my fellow members of the board for their dedication, selflessness, collegiality, and leadership. I look forward to what I'm sure will be an equally productive February on this board with our new board members set to join us, and look forward to continuing to learn from the variety of perspectives of my fellow board members through open, respectful communication and collaboration. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Moving to policy. Can I get a motion to approve all of the items under policy?
So moved.
Second.
Motion unanimously passes.
Can I get a motion to approve all the items under curriculum?
So moved.
Second.
Online voting is open. The motion unanimously passes.
Can I get a motion to approve all the items under personnel? Anybody?
So moved.
Second.
Online voting is open. The motion unanimously passes.
Can I get a motion to approve all the items under transportation?
So moved.
Second.
Nicely done.
Mr. Rosen and online voting is open. Motion unanimously passes.
Get a motion to approve all of the items under buildings and grounds.
So moved.
Second.
Online voting is open. The motion unanimously passes.
Mrs. Watson, is
Yes.
it possible to pull out 20.22 from finance to vote on separately?
I'm sorry, could you say the number one more time?
20.22.
20.22, yes. Can I get a motion to approve items 20.1 through 2021 and 2023 through 2028?
So moved.
Second. I'm going to open online voting, but I have it in my notes that we're going to vote by voice vote on 20.22. Okay. All the items listed are approved unanimously and will vote separately on 2022.
I got to log back in, sorry.
Okay.
I got to log back in, I accidentally
Oh, you
closed. All right, thanks.
So at this point, I'll call the roll on 20.22. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, can I get a motion to approve item 20.22? Nobody wants to move that? So item 2022 is stricken? Yes.
We're not sure.
Public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board, please approach the side table on the right and write your name and address on the login sheet. While the board is limited in its ability to respond to the public on matters involving personnel, litigation, negotiations, and attorney-client privilege, the board will now hear comments from the public. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board will not take action this evening. You will be notified at some later time by letter, electronic mail, telephone, or in the context of a later board meeting of any action the board does take.
Good evening. Just have a couple comments. I did want to thank the district, teachers, staff, secretaries, custodians, everyone who helped get the schools ready. Several sidewalks were done, several staff came in early, the secretaries made calls the night before to the subs, a lot of it. So as a parent, I appreciated that because the school was prepared, things that go very unnoticed. But everyone really stepped up, and I think some of the good calls were made because the weather was pretty bad. Second, the food service. I know it's never good to run in the red. However, if we remember the past a few years ago, districts were withholding lunch, forcing children to only have PBJ. So I know it's never ideal to be deficit, but when you don't limit what a child can have because they're not in their means, even though they might not qualify for free or reduced lunch, I think that's something that's good to at least put the children forward. The other one was commented about the malfunction at the middle school. So my daughter's there, and we're still dealing with it. It was very traumatic for her because they honestly thought it was legit. Whoever her study hall teacher was phenomenal because he took it serious, had that, and she was great, but we do talk with the news, and it was a very difficult time, and it was nice to see that the teacher did exactly what he was supposed to do, because of course we never really know when they come. And then the last one, I don't know, thank you, the policy change that went into, that's proposed, it was in red to show what was changed. So when I go back and pull the other one, I can identify it really quickly. So I guess that last one, so that'd be great if that goes forward, so thank you.
Any other audience comments? Board member comments? Seeing none, moving on. The next meeting date is February 28th, 2024, 7 p.m. at the admin building. And we will now move to adjourn. Voice vote. All those in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Yes.